Football season is finally underway, and if you play fantasy football, the odds are you probably already hate your team and wish you could draft again. On FanDuel, you can draft a new team every week. Plus, FanDuel has never been more fun or easier to play. If you're not a fantasy expert, then FanDuel is clearly the place to play. FanDuel has something for everyone, and there are more ways to win than ever before. FanDuel has a new tool called Guru to help you pick your lineups so you can make smarter picks and feel more confident going into game day. They've made it easy to find your friends and challenge them to play head-to-head contests for cash or bragging rights. Are you listening to me? New users get a $20 bonus when they make their first deposit on FanDuel. So come play with me at FanDuel.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, not to mention ESPN Radio over the national television airwaves of ESPN News. The number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Before I get into the show itself, let me remind you that Barbasol is finally making razors. That's a no-brainer. Check out the Barbasol Ultra 6 Plus with 6 ultra-thin blades. Save on the Ultra 6 Plus at Barbasol.com. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Lots of stuff to get into. First order of business was a Monday night game that took place last night between the Chicago Bears and obviously the Seattle Seahawks. Final score, Chicago 24. Seahawks 17. Chicago was all over Russell Wilson, who's got to literally carry the Seattle Seahawks franchise on his back, has minimal help, got a running back in Penny that only rushes 10 times for 30 carries, Rashad Penny. So you got that going on. That's a problem. Your receivers are Lockett. Doug Baldwin doesn't play for you last night, so that's a problem. Okay? So you got Lockett and you got Brandon Marshall with his 4 receptions for 44 yards, but we all know he's not what he used to be. But more importantly than that, you got an offensive line that's highly suspect in Seattle, and obviously Russell Wilson was left to pay the price because he got sacked 6 times, got hit another 7 times, and Chicago's defense, the monsters of the Midway, were all over him. Smith had 7 tackles. Trevathan had 6 tackles. And 2 assists. Prince Amukamara, you remember him, used to play for the New York Giants. He's now with the Chicago Bears. Had a pick 6. Khalil Mack, 4 tackles. Plus a sack. Plus a strip fumble. I mean, he was everywhere. That's why I don't want to hear John Gruden whining about no pass rush in Oakland. Duh, why the hell you think you don't have one? Because you let go of the Mac Daddy. And by the way, when you think about Khalil Mack, let's be clear about something here. Butkus, Ditka, Singletary, Urlacher, and now Mack. As in Khalil Mack. The Mack era has officially arrived in Chi-Town. And make no mistake about it, their defense is real. So let's pay attention to that. They were a top 5, top 10 defense rather last year. And everybody was saying they get their hands on a pass rusher, an edge rusher. They're going to be a top 5 defense. And apparently the prognosticators end up looking very, very prophetic. Because Chicago's defense is no joke. I will tell you this. I'm not that high on Trubisky. He's got a lot of moxie though. He's got a little bit more moxie than I thought. Only threw for 200 yards, completed 25 of 34 passes, had 2 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. Not much of a running game with Howard that only kept rushing for 35 yards. Your receivers with Robinson II and Howard weren't anything to necessarily write home about, and we get that. And Chicago's offense is going to be a problem. But that defense can do some things for you, and I think that it'll be very, very interesting to see how things unfold in the NFC North in light of the fact that Aaron Rodgers is not 100% and Green Bay ain't that great. With Kirk Cousins and Minnesota supposedly ready to do some things, it'll be interesting to see how things unfold there. And we all know that we don't believe in the Detroit Lions. So it can get very, very interesting. Time will tell, and we'll go from there. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. So that's just one of the things that I wanted to point to. When I get to the Seattle Seahawks, the one thing I want to say to y'all is this. I've regurgitated these comments on many, many occasions. I'll do so yet again. The Seattle Seahawks have never been the same since they lost that Super Bowl to the New England Patriots. I've said it many times. I'm going to say it to you again. They've never been the same. And it wasn't because they lost. Losses happen. It's because they had the game in hand. They were at the half-yard line. All they had to do was give it to beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, run it in, call it a day. But Pete Carroll and those boys wanted Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, to be the hero. I'm sorry, they wanted Russell Wilson to be the hero instead of beast mode. And that team has never been the same since. And that is the situation that you have to deal with here. That truly, truly is. Let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say. That Super Bowl loss ruined the Seattle Seahawks franchise as we knew it, the Legion of Boom, and the mystique and the aura they walked around with. It absolutely ruined it. There is no way around that. And so as a result, what you have is a situation where the Seattle Seahawks pretty much have Russell Wilson. They gave up Max Unger a few years back, your center on the offensive line. You brought in Jimmy Graham as your tight end. That didn't pan out. And they've never been the same since. They've never been the same. So having said all of that, this is what it is. Seattle Seahawks, Chicago Bears, defense is real. Offense, not so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Biggest story going on in sports, though, and it transcends New York. It transcends L.A. It transcends Cleveland and everything in between. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Gordon, the perpetually troubled former wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, is now a New England Patriot. As it pertains to the New England Patriots, I have no problem with this move. Low risk, huge reward, potentially. Josh Gordon is a stud. Josh Gordon can flat out ball. And even though he's only played 25 games in his career and 11 games over the last 4 or 5 years, he's got size, he's got speed, he's got athleticism, he's got agility. Just last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the right corner, he jumped over a defender, snagged in a two-handed touchdown catch in the corner of the end zone. Cleveland is getting a 5th-round pick in return for Josh Gordon. Now, there are a lot of people, there's a lot of reports out there, hamstring injury. If y'all believe for 1 second that Josh Gordon has been let go by the Cleveland Browns, who's had patience with them for 6 years. If you believe that he's being let go because he had a hamstring injury, you don't know what the hell you talk about. That's not what's going on here. That's not what's going on here. What's really, really going on here is that Josh Gordon breached the deal he had with the Cleveland Browns in terms of making phone calls, reporting to practice on time, and things of that nature. You'll hear about it because I'm hearing about it. It wasn't directly a drug or alcohol issue, which has caused them to have 2-year-long suspensions exacted against them by the league office in the past. But the bottom line is, if you're Josh Gordon, who was first suspended in July of 2011 when he was a college student at Baylor, and has been suspended on numerous occasions periodically ever since, and you suddenly show up late to practice, and you suddenly don't make calls, and you're suddenly inaccessible or unavailable, what the hell you think people are thinking? We all know what time that is. And let me just go down the list, because I want to make sure that I'm clear. And I'm not being disrespectful by saying this. I'm not throwing shade on Josh Gordon in any way. I'm only speaking facts. Josh Gordon's an addict. Do y'all understand that? He's an addict. Alcohol, weed, drugs. He's repeatedly had these problems. I don't know why the hell everybody's excited about him being in New England. Yeah, y'all might act like one has nothing to do with the other, but if Malcolm Jenkins being sick or not performing effectively at a few practices enables or justifies in Bill Belichick's mind him benching Malcolm Butler for the Super Bowl, after playing him 97.8% of the snaps during the regular season, after playing him 100% of the snaps in the AFC divisional playoff game against Tennessee and then the AFC championship game against Jacksonville, and suddenly you bench him for the Super Bowl. Yeah, he might have turned down a contract with you the year before, and you might have wanted to squash his own marketability. There could be several agendas on a part of Bill Belichick, but in the end, you allowed this man to get you back to a Super Bowl. And then you benched him. How tolerant are you going to be of Josh Gordon? And for those of you out there who are willing to sit there and say, oh, come on, Stephen A. Come on, Stephen A. You can't be like that, man. You can't be so cruel. I'm not being cruel. I'm being very respectful. Everyone that I have ever known, including family members who have been associated with addictions, says when you're calling somebody an addict, you're not disrespecting them. You're highlighting and illuminating for them in their mind's eye what their issue is. And let's face reality, particularly in this day and age, addicts garner sympathy, at least to some degree. This Oprah world that we've been living in for years, we don't just throw folks to the wolves anymore. We try to help everybody. I'm not saying it in a sarcastic or malicious way. I'm truly not. I'm speaking fact. And let me go down the list. July 25th, 2011. Josh Gordon suspended indefinitely from the program at Baylor by Coach Art Briles for a violation of team rules. It was reported later that Gordon had failed a drug test as it showed up positive for marijuana. That's 2011. December 2012. September 5th to December 30th, 2012. Gordon plays in all 16 games for the Browns after entering the NFL supplemental draft and getting picked up in the second round that July by the Cleveland Browns and ultimately signing a 4-year, $5.3 million deal with the Cleveland Browns. Josh Gordon plays in all 16 games for the Browns and starts 13. That June of 2013, Gordon draws his first NFL suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. He's forced to miss the Browns' first 2 games. I'll continue. July 5th, 2014, Gordon is arrested for suspicion of driving while impaired. So now it's not marijuana. It's not weed. It's not drugs. Now it's alcohol. It was reported that Gordon was speeding and had blood alcohol content level of 0.09, which was above the legal limit. So you see, I'm going back as far back as 2011. Then I went to 2013. Now I've gone to 2014. Let me continue. August of 2014. Gordon draws his second NFL suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. This time for 1 full year. He ultimately had his suspension reduced to 10 games under the NFL's new policy. He's reinstated by the NFL that following November. He had burnt the Falcons in his first game for 8 catches for 120 receiving yards. And then that December, he's suspended by the Browns for 1 game, their season finale against the Baltimore Ravens for a violation of team rules. A month later, January 25th, Gordon faces a 2-year-long suspension after testing positive for alcohol use. Gordon is suspended. February, it's official. He's suspended by the NFL for a year again without pay and isn't eligible to return until the beginning of the 2016 season. Ladies and gentlemen, since 2014, he's played 11 games. There's an addiction issue. He came back after after going through everything that he went through. Do you know that he voluntarily left the Browns to go into rehab? Because the NFL stipulates that when you do that, they'll provide you with some degree of leniency. Then he comes back and then he wasn't ready to go again because he needed to take a personal leave to get his life together. Now, we've heard reports that there are other things going on with him or whatever, and that's his business. I'm not here to put his business out in the street. What I'm saying to you is that those things are a matter of record. They get in the way of you performing football. And when you have issues, you need support, you need guidance. The last thing in the world you might need is to play for a hard knocks coach with a very low tolerance, if any tolerance at all, in Bill Belichick. That's what you have to be concerned about. Nobody's talking about this, but it's just the truth. And I'm going to take it a step further because I did it on my television show First Take this morning on ESPN every weekday from 10 a.m. to noon, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to go there again. Let me be very, very clear. History has shown that sports leagues have and give more leniency to players with personal issues like drug and alcohol abuse than they give to outspoken individuals who don't have those issues. Don't any of y'all have a problem with that? To me, it's about an issue of control. It's not just the black athletes, it's whites and everybody in between as well. But it appears to me that in a professional sports league like the NFL, go ahead and be a drug addict. Go ahead and be an alcoholic. If you can play, we forgive you. And there's room for you somewhere, for somebody to give you a second, third, fourth, fifth chance. Cleveland Browns showed the patience of Job. That's biblical. The patience of Job when it came to Josh Gordon, and still had to let him go the other day. Y'all can sit up there and act like it's beautiful for him to go in a no-nonsense situation like the New England Patriots. I'm worried about him because he's going to be accountable to himself. That's what you have to be in New England. Nobody's going to hold your hand. So I'm very, very concerned about that. I really, really am. Let me be the first to tell you that right now. Having said all of that, despite my concerns about Josh Gordon, I'm also annoyed at the situation. What, he can have a job, but Colin Kaepernick can't have a job? He can have a job, but Eric Reed can't have a job? My man Carlton in Tampa will call up here and bring up the pigs on the socks or the Fidel Castro t-shirt or comparing Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Baltimore Ravens, and Ray Lewis, his former star, to the characters in Django played by Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson. That's fair. What about Eric Reed? He didn't do that. Not that I recall. And even though you might argue he's not as great as everybody's saying he is, he's not some bona fide, surefire starter in the National Football League, clearly he deserves a job in a roster spot. So in other words, be outspoken, be law-abiding. Follow the rules and regulations according to you as an American citizen, and the hell with you, you can't get a job. But you can have drug issues. You can have alcohol issues. We'll tolerate that. Y'all don't have a problem with that? Huh? I do. And I didn't even bring up the Des Bryant factor. Treating him like the second coming of T.O. You can bust your tail, you can work hard. You may have lost a step, but you're still better than a lot of dudes in this league. You can't get a job. You're labeled and stigmatized as a bit truculent and cantankerous and cancerous for a locker room. You can't get a job. But if you got an alcohol or a drug problem, sure, we'll make room for you. I thought the best ability was availability. We don't know if Josh Gordon's going to be available. We hope and pray. I'm certainly rooting for him. But do I trust it? No, I do not. I just don't. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Before I go to commercial, I wanted to steer left or right, whatever way you want to see it. And I wanted to my producers here, Jonathan Winthrop, Nuno Texiera, Catherine Pastor. To my bosses, Marsha Keegan and Trod Keller, Justin Craig. All the way up the ladder to the Norby Williamsons of the world and the Connor Shells and the Jimmy Pataros of the world. Want to do something that most people don't do, particularly as talent, and we should. And that's to apologize. Yesterday on this show, I brought up Brett Kavanaugh and what he's going through with some of the accusations. I didn't get into any specifics. I just talked about how I wished I was a political pundit because I'd have been going off. And I allowed an opening for my statements to be misconstrued. My angst, my disgust with the situation has nothing to do with anything gender-wise or anything like that. It was just based on the thing or the notion of somebody being in their 50s and having to deal with something that they're being accused of from the time they were a teenager. Because in my world, I sit up there and I say to myself sometimes, my God, how many of us out here in this world would have to be scared out of our lives? But here's the reality. If you're not going to elaborate on it, more importantly, specifically if you're not qualified to elaborate on it because it's not your area of expertise, sometimes it's best to just shut the hell up on that particular subject. I did not do that. I was wrong, and I apologize for that. Nobody at ESPN asked me to make an apology. There's no written statement. There's no prompter that I'm looking in and all of that other stuff. I speak from the heart. My name is Stephen A. The last name is Smith. Raised properly by my mother, my wonderful mother, may God rest her soul, and my 4 wonderful sisters. When you're misguided or you're wrong, you own it. No excuses. Period. And I apologize for that. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio. Back with more of your calls on sports in a minute.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits, separate sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Do you have frequent heartburn? Like the kind where you have antacids stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief, of course. Also, the Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. So make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. That's 888-729-3776. Looking forward to having my man, my brother, the one and only Ryan Clark, NFL analyst extraordinaire for the family, former Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He'll be coming on with us to talk about some of the nonsense that's going on in Pittsburgh. I can't front y'all. I love me some Mike Tomlin. Everybody knows that. I'm worried about him right now. I'm worried that Mike Tomlin, with all this dysfunctionality raking through the Steelers like a virus, I'm worried that Mike Tomlin, as this season goes snowballing down the drain, Mike Tomlin, listen, I know they gave him to a contract extension. He might lose his job. I just don't trust the situation that's going on in Steelers right now. I hope I'm wrong because I love that brother, but I got to tell you, with all the nonsense going on, the Rooneys are not known for tolerating this kind of stuff. So I just think we need to be clear, very, very clear about all of that. Once again, you are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Remember, you can tweet, you can reach me on Twitter at Stephen A. Smith, on Instagram at Stephen A. Smith, on Facebook at Stephen A. Smith. So just keep that in mind. Let's get to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's get right to it. Let's go to Mixon. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Mixon? How are you?
I'm better than you.
No. Stop that. Get all of that noise out of there. You can't come over the national airwaves sounding like that. I need all that noise going in the background. I need so that my audience can hear you clearly. Go ahead, buddy.
So I didn't get to hear your take yesterday on the Giants, but I called after game one saying I thought they made the right move with Saquon.
You thought they made the right move? Okay, go ahead.
Now, after watching what happened on Sunday night, I think we're in a world of hurt.
You know what?
I think it's going to be a long season, and I think we're going to end up back in the top 5.
Mixon. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. Let me tell you what I'm feeling about the Giants. I saw Eli Manning get sacked, and when he had that deer in headlights look on his face when he was being helped up off the ground, I got to admit to you, man, I'm very, very worried about the Giants right now. And I never felt like they made the wrong pick. My man JP in Brooklyn and others obviously felt that way. And they may be right. I may be wrong, man. I mean, I thought Eli Manning had 2 more years left in him if he had a decent offensive line. But my God, he looked petrified out there. He really, really did. I'm worried. I'm worried, Mixon.
Even with Aaron Rodgers, he still wouldn't have time to make something happen. And even if you had a Walter Payton running behind that offensive line, he's not doing anything.
Okay, so, well then again, that does not mean that they made the wrong pick if your problem is the offensive line. It does mean they made the wrong pick if Eli Manning just falls off the map and has nothing to give you anymore. If he just got that old overnight and he's got nothing left for you, that's when it looks bad.
Well, you know what the problem is week 1, he had some time, and guess what? He was able to throw the ball, and that's why I
wasn't that damn impressed with him in week 1. But I got to go, Mixon. I appreciate the call, but I wasn't that impressed with Eli Manning in week 1. Let me just be very, very clear about it. Let's go to Dennis. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Dennis? Talk to me.
Yeah, what's going on, Stephen A?
I'm all right. Get that noise out that background, brother. You live over the national airwaves. Let's hear you clearly. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just calling to, speak on that whole Josh Gordon thing. I think you kind of landed on a little too thick. You know what I mean?
How?
I mean, despite the fact that, you know what I mean, past, things against
Stop right there. First of all, I don't know what you mean. You said you know what I mean about 5 times. I don't know what you mean. That's number 1. Number 2, let me ask you a question, Dennis. If you ran a team and this brother plays 5 games in 3 years, 11 games in the last 4 years because of repeated drug or alcohol violations, how much faith you going to have in him?
Has that been the situation as of late, though?
Well, time out. What do you mean has it been the situation as of late? He just got back. He had to leave, came into training camp and had to leave to handle personal matters.
Has he not been self-sufficient in, like, his own recovery, taking steps to do what he needs to do?
He's definitely been taking steps. But what I'm saying is, remember when he had to leave? He was gone for a year. He got reinstated and then had to leave on his, and they give you an opportunity under the new drug policy to leave on your own. This just happened, Dennis. I'm not bringing this up. I got the facts right in front of me. The sheet's right here. It's all right here.
Well, I think there's definitely something to be said about a man taking accountability for his said actions. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that, Dennis, but we're not castigating this man. We're not saying that Josh Gordon is a bad guy and we wish him failure. What we're saying is, oh my God, can you trust him in a situation that involves no nonsense? Bill Belichick don't play. This guy needs help. And if he needs help, do you trust Bill Belichick to give it to him?
Along the lines of, like, if anybody's going to fix it or help, you know what I mean, coddle the situation,
okay,
it'll definitely be a New England Patriots type of thing. But I do understand.
You said New England. You said New England will fix the situation, Dennis? Is that what you just said? That New England will fix it?
I think it'll help improve their situation if it is anything.
Really, New England? A lot of other teams, yeah. New England with Bill Belichick, man? You really trust that?
I do, because, I mean, everybody talks all the time about how, you know what I mean, Bill Belichick is definitely, you know, like a strict run type of person,
right.
And everybody
embraces
the culture once they get there.
Okay. All right, Dennis. I hope you're right. I just don't have enough faith that New England is the right place for him. I really, really don't. I mean, if you listen, the Browns have been a horrid organization. We understand they haven't been exceptionally run. They don't win games. We get all of that. The flip side to it, though, is how unbelievably supportive they've been of Josh Gordon. Wouldn't you agree with that, Dennis?
Oh, yeah, I certainly agree with that. But along the lines of what Jalen was getting at on Get Up this morning, You know what I'm saying? It might have been like, hey, my leg ain't feeling so good after this promotional video. Kind of see where the Browns are trending.
Come on, bro. They tolerated this man for 6 years with every violation under the sun, and they're going to let him go because of a hamstring. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Dennis?
Well, you know,
Dennis, who you calling? Who did you just call?
Might be just something.
Dennis, who did you just call?
Stephen A.
Come on, baby. Come on, Dennis. Calling from Chi-Town. Come on, dog. Show me the right kind of love and respect. You know better than that. Don't you dance around this. They don't let that brother go because of a hamstring injury. Really? And after all they did for him for 6 years, you going to let him go because of a hamstring injury after he started for you and caught a touchdown pass in game one? Really, Dennis?
I really believe it's, you know, something in the air in Cleveland, and he might have just wanted out.
You know what, Dennis? That's what I love about our people. The compassion in your heart. I can feel it through the airwaves, bro. You are exhausting every measure imaginable to give that man the benefit of the doubt. I ain't knocking you for it. I appreciate it. But you know that's what you're doing, right?
Thinking with my heart.
There you go. Come on now. You know that. You know ain't no way in hell you believe that man got let go because of hamstring. You know that. Thanks a lot, Dennis. Call back anytime.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha 990. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, is presented by Progressive Insurance. Small business protection just got easier. With more than 30 coverage options available, Progressive has you covered. More at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Plus, the pennant chase has begun. Tune in tonight as the Rockies take on the Dodgers, who've now taken over first place in the National League West, by the way. Presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Reminding you of Ryan Clark, NFL analyst extraordinaire for the family. He'll be on with us to start off hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Before I get to that and get to a call, Antonio Brown, wide receiver extraordinaire for the Pittsburgh Steelers, lit up Twitter on Monday with his response to a former Steelers public relations staff member who was critical of the wide receiver's importance to the team offense. He basically said, look, actually, I'll read the quote. It's from a guy by the name of Ryan Scarpino, former PR guy for the Steelers. He says Antonio Brown needs to thank his lucky stars because he was drafted by a team that had Ben, and Ben got Antonio Brown paid. You know darn well he wouldn't put up those numbers for other teams, end quote. First of all, Scarpino is wrong. Antonio Brown is a bad brother. One of the best, if not the best in the game. That's number one. Secondly, Ryan Scarpino be lucky to get another job in PR. So you leave a team and then you talk about, you tweet about a guy, a former player. You know, that's why Antonio Brown responded by saying, trade me, let's find out. He wasn't asking the Steelers to trade him, which is what Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, confirmed to our very own Adam Schefter. But even before Drew Rosenhaus said that, I knew Antonio Brown wasn't demanding that the Steelers trade him. He's saying, I can ball. I know what I bring to the table. And you'd find out if I wasn't here. And if you're so bad and you're such a Steelers fan and you really, really think that this team is the same without me, then trade me and watch what happens. That's not asking the team to trade you. That's basically saying, yo, do you realize who I am and what the hell I bring to the table? That's what he was saying. And I don't blame Antonio Brown. Now, I don't have a lot of, I don't approve of a lot of things he's done. Him being on social media last year, in the playoffs, or a couple of years ago when Mike Tomlin was giving his speech telling everybody to stay off social media, and he was on social media. I don't approve of that. I don't approve of him threatening a reporter for our very own Undefeated, ESPN's African-American website. I don't approve of him doing that, threatening to put his hands on a reporter when he sees him. And I certainly don't approve of him not showing up to practice yesterday after arguing with the offensive coordinator, Fichtner, on the sideline. But don't tell me that the Steelers wouldn't miss a beat without Antonio Brown. He is elite, a future Hall of Famer. 5 consecutive seasons of more than 100 receptions. 5 consecutive seasons of over 1,200 receiving yards. This brother is special. Watch your damn mouth, Scarpino. I'll leave it at that. Derek, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Derek, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A?
I'm all right.
Hey, I called you yesterday, and I had the latte that you told me to go have and think about what I said. And I'm listening to the show, and I'm just getting revved up over here. Hey, if you or I had the rap sheet that Josh Gordon had, we wouldn't even have a job. It wouldn't even be a question.
Correct.
Will we even be on it? We wouldn't have it.
Correct.
But I'm going to say this. He probably will go to New England, and he'll probably have a field day against Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game and go on to win a Super Bowl.
Stop right there, Derek. You really think the Steelers going to the AFC Championship game? The way they looking, they ain't going to make the playoffs.
Before I go, I just want to say one more thing about this, too. And not just Josh Gordon, but also with what's going on with the Steelers. I just want to address, because it hasn't been addressed yet, about Le'Veon Bell holding out for his money. He did the same thing, not as intense as Josh Gordon, but he got to spend it a couple times, too. Then he wants to come to the table and wants to eat like everybody else eat, like he didn't forget what he's done. And if you put that on the table, it's going to take away from you in the future. So Le'Veon Bell, if I was Pittsburgh, I would trade him just for that reason right there. He missed games because he was suspended for doing what?
Here's my problem. I would not. That was early. That was a few years ago, A. But B, here's my problem with my only problem with what you're saying, Derek. The brother touched the ball 406 times last year, 321 carries, 85 receptions. You're running him into the ground, and again, you're going to deny him his money. I don't like that.
You said that. I wouldn't say one minute. I'm going to get off because I know this is about to set you off.
It's about 30 seconds. It's about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I said it yesterday. If you take Marvin Lewis's record and give it the last 15 years in Cleveland, they'll have a statue for him.
Oh, please. Bye, Derek. Bye. I'm not going to let you call up here and praise Marvin Lewis, who hasn't won a damn playoff game in 15 years. Mike Tomlin's won 65% of his games. Mike Tomlin's one of only 32 coaches in NFL history with a Super Bowl championship. Mike Tomlin's been in at least 3 AFC championship games. You got Mike Tomlin? You got to be kidding me. Marvin Lewis don't belong in the same sentence as Mike Tomlin. Not even the same sentence. Y'all need to stop. 888-SAY-ESPN. Hour number 2 up next. My man Ryan Clark, NFL analyst extraordinaire, will be in the house with yours truly. The Stephen A. Smith Show. Hour number 2 up next.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits, separate sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
Football season is finally underway, and if you play fantasy football, the odds are you probably already hate your team and wish you could draft again. On FanDuel, you can draft a new team every week. Plus, FanDuel has never been more fun or easier to play. If you're not a fantasy expert, then FanDuel is clearly the place to play. FanDuel has something for everyone, and there are more ways to win than ever before. FanDuel has a new tool called Guru to help you pick your lineups so you can make smarter picks and feel more confident going into game day. They've made it easy to find your friends and challenge them to play head-to-head contests for cash or bragging rights. Are you listening to me? New users get a $20 bonus when they make their first deposit on FanDuel. So come play with me at FanDuel.com/Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Always my honor and privilege to have my next guest with me. He is in studio, in the house, blessing me with his presence. And he was actually very cooperative today on first take. He was listening to Prophet Stephen A. He was listening to me. The one and only Ryan Clark, our NFL analyst extraordinaire, former Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. For some odd reason, went to the Redskins for a year, whatever. But I won't hold that against him. Let's get right to it, Ryan. What the hell is going on in Pittsburgh? Antonio Brown, Monday's absence from practice. We know there's a lot of stuff going on with him. What is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers overall?
They're falling apart. This team isn't what it used to be. There were some early things you were on first take earlier, just talking about defense and where that's going. Mm-hmm. Let's just talk about the people in the locker room. Think about leadership. There's no more James Ferriers. There's no more Hines Wards, people that put the team first. Now it's a team and a group of individuals. You see that from the Le'Veon Bell situation where he doesn't show up, but yet there are people in the locker room speaking about his money, talking about his contracts, not supporting him in the sense that this is a game that you have a very short time to get your money, and you're going to speak out against that man. Now you have a wide receiver in Antonio Brown who is more concerned with self, more concerned about his accolades, more concerned about his touches than a team that is in trouble, a team that tied a game against the Cleveland Browns that were winless in, I think, 18 games previous to that, a team that goes against the Kansas City Chiefs and is Swiss cheese on defense. You get back into the game and then you lose it late, arguing with offensive coordinator Randy Fichtner and then not showing up on Monday.
And by the way, was that unannounced? I mean, did he just not show up? Did he call the coach? Do we know what happened with that?
And that's the thing. You don't know what is the surrounding factors. But here's what you do know. There was a blow up on the sideline. There was a blow up on Twitter. And now he's not there for whatever reason it is. This is a guy that people look to for leadership on this team. This is a guy who is the best football player on this team, and whose lead many people will follow, whether right or wrong, whether he should be a leader or not. Mm-hmm. And you can't have this type of behavior from your marquee players, from the people you have given money and, in sense, given the power to control the narratives outside of the locker room, but also the behavior inside.
Antonio Brown made news because a gentleman by the name of Ryan Scarpino put out a tweet Sunday, I believe. It said, quote, AB, as in Antonio Brown, needs to thank his lucky stars because he was drafted by a team that had Ben, and Ben got AB paid. You know darn well he wouldn't put up those numbers for other teams. Mm-hmm. And then Antonio Brown obviously responded, trade me. Let's find out. What did you take from that?
Well, the one thing is he's wrong. Antonio Brown, Scarpino. Right. I know Scarp very well. He's wrong. Antonio Brown can flat out play.
That's right.
And not only can he play, he works his butt off. He has a ton of football character. I think what's starting to show is that character doesn't necessarily filter in the rest of his life, into his off the field life, into his treatment of people, into an unselfish attitude and behavior that helps teammates, that helps teams, that lead. And so now we're seeing that kind of manifest itself in the troubles, right? In the hard times. And most of the times, Stephen A., and you know this very well, when things get tough, when the stuff hits the fan, you revert to who you really are. Mm. You can put on airs all you want, Stephen A., and you can tell lies all you want. I'm not saying he's lying, but live a life that makes people perceive you a certain way. But when you are touched, when it's time for you to be who you're supposed to be, you're going to regress to the mean. And that's what Antonio's doing now.
It's interesting that you're saying this because this guy, Antonio Brown, who we both know, I mean, you know him a hell of a lot better than me, but I know AB. I consider him the best receiver in the game right now.
Absolutely.
I consider him the lead. He's spectacular. But obviously, we bring up stuff like the FaceTiming while Mike Tomlin was talking. I bring up him threatening a reporter just a week or two ago. I mean, you talking about you're going to lay hands on somebody. Everything seems to be imploding. When are we going to get to the point, if we're not there already, where we're starting to worry about Mike Tomlin's future in Pittsburgh because of all of this nonsense going on around him?
Mike T's my guy.
My guy too.
I hope to not have to worry about these things. My hope is that he gets these things under control. But for so long, Antonio's been allowed to do things behind the scenes that are questionable because he's such a good football player, because he works so hard. And now those things are leaking outside the locker room, so it has to be contained. Coach Tomlin is going to have to deal with this. I think he's going to have to deal with it privately with Antonio and with his team, and then express that message publicly. He's going to have to let the world know what decisions he's made, what tactics he's taking to stop some of these actions.
Are we right to worry about the immediate future of Mike Tomlin because this is a Steelers organization that's only had like 3 coaches since 1969, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin? I mean, are we right to be worried about his future?
I think, and I can't speak for you, but I'm going to speak for myself.
Sure.
More of my worry is based on my care and affection for him.
Right.
Right. It's not,
you can speak for me on that one.
It's not like I know. So I can't say I'm looking at it with a totally unbiased opinion.
Okay, right.
But looking in at the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're an organization that historically doesn't like drama. They're an organization that stays away from public disputes and issues to where you're talking about something other than football when it pertains to this team. And any organization that has a lack of institutional and organizational control, it starts at the top, right? It's not going to be the players that start to get questioned. It's going to be whether Mike Tomlin has lost control of this locker room. And those things we are okay to question those things. We are okay to worry about those things because if this was any other team, we would be. But especially this one with what the city stands for, what the people stand for, and what the Rooney family stands for. They don't like the dysfunction that's going on. And so, one, you got to win games. But in winning games, you have to change the culture in this locker room. And I don't know if you have the actual leaders in this locker room to do so.
NFL analyst extraordinaire Ryan Clark, former Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Steelers got a game coming up.
Yeah.
It's against Tampa Bay.
Got a big game.
It's against Tampa Bay on the road. We know Big Ben is better at home than he is on the road. He's on the road now against a guy in Ryan Fitzpatrick that has thrown for over 800 yards, has thrown for 8 touchdowns, ran for another with just 1 interception in the first 2 games of this NFL season. And I'm thinking about the problems that the Steelers just had with Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. And now you're going up against Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, and O.J. Howard. I am very, very worried. Talk to me about the Tampa Bay Bucks. What the hell has happened with them?
They're scary. Stephen A., I remember when Deshaun Jackson was picked up by the Bucks and they drafted O.J. Howard. We already knew they had Mike Evans, who was a stud. All we could talk about was what this offense was going to look like once all of these people got together with Jameis Winston at the helm. It never materialized.
Never, not last year.
Right. No. We never got to a point where we were seeing them push the ball down the field, get chunk yardage each game. Jameis was off a little bit. Some things weren't right with the team. But this is what we were looking for. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers that had played the last 2 weeks against 2 teams that were favored in the NFC to contend for a Super Bowl appearance, they beat both of those teams.
I know that obviously you don't mess with this. If Ryan Fitzpatrick continues to play this way, you let Jameis Winston come back from his suspension and you leave his behind on the bench. But here's the question. Do you leave him on the bench or do you sit up there and say, you know what, we might need to move on from him in light of the fact that he's been suspended? I don't agree. I don't think so, but I had to ask you.
I don't think you move on for this reason. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not your future. Right. Jameis Winston still has the opportunity to be your future. You don't just throw your future away. But what you do have to do this season if you're Dirk Cutter, as long as Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing at a high level and his offense is playing at a high level, he's your starter. And notice I didn't say when you lose a game, because sometimes you lose games and
you play
the quarterback ain't play bad. You play well.
Right.
Right. And so what it says is, Jameis, you didn't miss games because of injury. Right. You're not losing your position, or you're not continuing to be the backup quarterback when you're back because you're injured. You're doing it because you couldn't behave. You're doing it because you weren't accountable to this team.
And you got leaders out there. Listen, you got players out there paying mortgages, feeding families.
Absolutely.
They ain't got time for that.
You have a coach that has a mortgage to pay.
That's right.
And so right now, you stick with what got you to this point. What got you to beat the New Orleans Saints, who many were touting to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the defending Super Bowl champs. And you beat both of those teams. And you put up points and chunk yardage and a quarterback that plays almost mistake-free football. You have to go with him. If they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, Stephen A., it might get to a point where you wonder, does Ryan Fitzpatrick have to play 3 or 4 bad games in a row
That's right.
for Jameis Winston to get an opportunity to get his spot back?
Your thoughts about Carson Wentz coming back for Philadelphia now that he's been medically cleared?
You have to be excited. From listening to guys like Adam Schefter, Phil Yates, Chris Mortensen, guys with inside information, he's been physically ready before this week. Mm-hmm. They said he was ready to go, but Doug Peterson had kind of pegged this week as the week to bring him back. Home game against the Indianapolis Colts. I guess they felt like this would be the best time. They need him back. This offense isn't pushing the ball down the field. This offense isn't making
39
plays.
Points in 2 games.
Right. This offense isn't scaring people, and they scored late in the fourth quarter to even make the Tampa Bay game close.
Yeah, they're down 27-7.
Absolutely. And so if you look at what this offense was last year with Carson Wentz, and what Nick Foles was able to produce in the Super Bowl, there's a gap in between there where it looked exactly like this, where we were questioning Nick Foles. It was the defense that got this team to the Super Bowl. And so now that they're starting to leak a little bit, you need that joke, right? You need the excitement that Carson Wentz is going to bring.
Right.
And he has to protect himself to stay healthy.
$64,000 question. $65 million question, guaranteed that is. What the hell can we say about the New York Giants? Right now, Eli Manning doesn't look good. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't get the ball that much in Game 2 against Dallas. Saquon Barkley, other than his 68-yard run for a touchdown against Jacksonville, he's averaging like 2.4 yards a carry. And don't get me started, the defense has not been awful. What is going on with the Giants?
They did not fix the offensive line problem. Right. The offensive line problem now becomes an Eli Manning problem. And with it being an Eli Manning problem, his deterioration in talent shows, right? He was never a guy that could really move in the pocket. He was a pocket passer. So now with getting pressure in your face, with guys coming from the outside, he begins to panic. He begins to watch the rush. So now you see Saquon Barkley with 14 catches. When you and I both know Odell Beckham Jr. is not only one of the most gifted or more gifted players playing today. I think he's one of the more gifted players to ever have played the position. And this guy has one-on-one matchups outside with new corners that used to play safety. And you're not able to stick in the pocket and give him opportunities.
Well, that's exactly why they're covering Odell Beckham Jr. one-on-one, because they have confidence that we can get to Eli before, anything can happen.
And so I think this is even a bigger picture question, Stephen A., and maybe you can weigh in and tell me what you think. Was Saquon Barkley the right pick?
I don't know. My attitude was this. I looked at Eli Manning at age 37, and I said he's got another year or two. If Saquon Barkley is that stud, and you're looking at Sam Darnold or Josh Allen or Josh Rosen with trepidation, it's obvious. But after 2 games, everybody's saying Sam Darnold's it.
Right.
And if you knew that he was it as a quarterback, then to me, you made a mistake.
I think the only way this works out, and it's the right pick, because I believe Saquon Barkley is going to be a Pro Bowler.
Right.
What you spoke to about his long run as compared to his average, that's who he was at Penn State for the most part. There were games where he broke big runs and had big plays, but he was also stifled a lot by teams with great penetration.
He tap dances a lot.
Right. And so you'll see those things from him, but he's a special talent.
Yeah.
If you don't win a Super Bowl with Eli Manning, it's the wrong pick. If Eli Manning, with the weapons that you've surrounded him with, can't win a Super Bowl, and Sam Darnold's just good, if he's just a good starter for a decade, you made the wrong pick.
But the problem, what I'm hearing from you, Ryan, is That offensive line wasn't fixed. What is he supposed to do?
What
is he supposed to do? He's 37 years old. He was immobile when he was 27. He was immobile when he was 20. Now you got him at 37 years of age. What do you expect? You got to fix the offensive line. How much can we blame Eli Manning if he has no protection?
No, listen.
Ereck Flowers is still your right tackle.
Yeah, I'm not blaming Eli. I'm not saying that the lack of Eli's production is actually his fault. I believe if you gave him time with the weapons he he could complete passes and he could win games. Mm-hmm. But knowing that you didn't fix it, or maybe they thought they did by moving Ereck Flowers, getting Nate Solder, drafting Will Hernandez, maybe they thought they fixed the problem. But knowing that you haven't, wouldn't you rather you take the young quarterback, you allow Eli to play right now, so the quarterback can learn, you can continue to try to fix the offensive line, but you have that going forward. Now, your bet is you get a guy in who can really play when Odell Beckham's in year 8, when Saquon Barkley's in year 3 or 4, and you can win then. Because right now, as constructed with this offensive line, this team cannot compete to win the NFC East Championship.
Before I let you get on out of here, I want you to have the audacity, the bravery, the courage to tell people who your Super Bowl pick is.
The Los Angeles Rams to play the Los Angeles Chargers.
That is ridiculous. There's no way that two teams from LA are making the Super Bowl. You know that, right?
It was my preseason pick.
Okay.
Right?
You have the right to change your mind from preseason.
Right, but I'm not going to change on it because I can't say
the Chargers.
Right. Listen, I feel that there are better teams than the AFC now. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, I understand that the Jacksonville Jaguars have a better chance than the Chargers now.
The Patriots.
I look at the Patriots. I look at the Kansas City Chiefs as a team with a better chance. Mm-hmm. But this was my preseason pick.
Okay.
Now, can the Chargers get it fixed and have an opportunity? Absolutely. If the Chargers and the Rams go, or even though we haven't bet, am I going to make you take me to dinner at the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all right. And we can do it in L.A. because ain't no problem with that. Ain't no problem with that. But there is no way on earth that two teams from L.A. are making the Super Bowl.
Why are you saying that like they can't though?
Because I think inclement weather plays a role. And you know what? You're going to have to go on the road at some point in all likelihood. Not necessarily if you're the Rams. Right. Because you can end up with the best team in the NFC. There's no way in hell the Chargers are going to end up with the best record in the AFC. You're going to have to go to a Jacksonville or New England.
Listen, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that that's my picks, and it could happen. That's all I'm saying. If I get one, I gotta know.
I can go someplace and get some more hair and push my hair. I mean, if you talk about what we could do, I mean, I can do a lot of things.
Deion got a whole head of hair now.
What the hell is that about? How did he pull that off? I got to talk to him about that.
It looks so strange to me, though. I don't like it. I don't like it.
He might look. Well, listen. The man is chilly. He's prime time, so it's all right. Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Before I let you get on out of here, Jacksonville beating New England?
Yeah.
How much did that impress you? Or was it an aberration because of the 377 yards that Blake Bortles threw?
I like the way they beat him. Right?
Okay.
You know you go into the game without Leonard Fournette.
Okay.
You have a defense who feels like they could stop the Patriots. And you throw the ball 45 times with Blake Bortles. You're milking the game at the end. You're trying to get a first down. But instead of running it to run clock, what do? You put the ball in Blake Bortles' hands and allow him to make decisions. If you're Nathaniel Hackett, that's a huge step, the offense coordinator. And if they can do that, if you can have confidence in Blake Bortles, not throw it 45 times, not throw for over 350, but have the confidence that he can do that, you can win. And here's what Sunday taught me about Jacksonville. Everybody's been on Canelo, Triple G. Sometimes when you're fighting the champ, you got to taste his power first. I believe in the AFC championships, the Jacksonville Jaguars stood in front of the champ and got hit in the mouth. And they thought about it in the offseason and said, you know what? I'm not scared to go stand in front of him and fight again.
And it's easier to do in Jacksonville than Foxborough.
Well, the thing is, now that you have an opportunity for the head-to-head, the home field advantage, you may have to see him in Jacksonville again. And I do think that this team is put together in a way because they can rush 4 and drop 7 that they can give the New England Patriots problems anytime they play them.
What do you think Josh Gordon's going to do in New England?
My hopes is, and I've heard you say it, which I really appreciate that you say, my hopes is that he gets it right. They really are. If he gets to play, if he's available to this team, he's the best outside threat Tom Brady's had other than Randy Moss throughout his whole career.
Even though he's only played about 11 games in 4 or 5 years?
He's only played 25 total. And so, you know, and looking at that, it's it's scary to think. 25 since 2013.
Yes.
It's scary to think that if he gets it right, what this team could look like. Having to cover Rob Gronkowski, having to cover Josh Gordon on the outside, also with the schematics that Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady can come up with, I believe this puts this team on a different level from what this year's team was. Maybe not comparatively so to what we've seen in the past, but it makes this team much more formidable and a better contender for the AFC Championship than it is before him.
Always appreciate you, my brother. The one and only Ryan Clark, NFL analyst extraordinaire, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. That's the number to call into the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. We'll get to your calls and more in just a minute, but wait a second here. When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screening questions based on your job requirements, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed. All that and more. Stephen A. Smith Show. Your phone calls up next and then some in a minute.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits separate, sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your style to the next level. Also, save an extra 20% off with your JCPenney credit card and coupon, or extra 15% off with any other method of payment. Hurry in. JCPenney. Style and value for all. Pricing and coupon valid 9/13 and 9/23. Credit offer subject to credit approval. Some exclusions and restrictions apply. See store at jcp.com for coupon and details.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Thanks again to Ryan Clark for coming on the show and rapping with us for a little bit. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. EJ, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Hey, Stephen A., how you doing? This is one of your homeboys, New York Virgin Islands.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing, man?
What's happening, my son?
Me all right. Go ahead.
Anyway, you know, rap music is over 40 years old now.
That's right.
Believe it or not.
That's right. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, I have a statement and I have a question.
Go ahead.
My statement is Eli Manning.
Yep.
I think he's done, man. Look at his footwork, his body movement.
I don't like the way he's looked.
He's injured.
I don't like the way he's looked. I'm very concerned about it. I don't like the way he's looked at all. He has not looked impressive. He definitely has me very, very concerned about how he has looked so far. And I really don't know what to say about him, to be honest with you. I mean, listen, he just looks old. He looks like a deer in headlights right now. When he was getting up off the mat and his teammates were helping him, it was bad. But here's the thing. Even though he's only thrown for 500 yards, like 224 yards in game 1, 279 yards in game 2. Do you realize that Eli Manning is completing 69% of his passes?
Wow.
And has only thrown 1 interception in the first 2 games?
Right. But see, at the same time, I look at the footwork, especially quarterback.
Well, I'm not sure if you can do that because he never could move. He never could move.
Well, whatever you want to slice it, he's gone, man. He needs to go back in the weight room, study some film.
It's too late.
Don't get me wrong. I love the New York Giants,
right.
But Eli is not the way, man.
All right, we heard your first point about Eli. What was your question?
Okay, answer this for me. What your thoughts on this? Is Colin Kaepernick's window closed?
Yes.
As far as getting back in the NFL,
yes, it's over. It's over.
Okay.
I think the owners are sending a message. They want him gone. I think that it's gotten to a point where I think the owners will pay Colin Kaepernick off before they let him back into the league. They can't let him look like he won. They will exhaust every measure to make it look like he's lost in all of this. To do everything they can to provide a dissuasive measure from other players mimicking his position. They have to do everything they can in their mind to stop it.
Wow.
All right? Got to run, man. I appreciate the call, EJ. Thank you so much. Let's go to Phil in Cincinnati. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's going on, Phil? How are you, man? How's everything going?
Everything good, man. You know what, Stephen A., man? I've been working. I've been informed that you have my Cincinnati Bengals as your top 5 team, man. I'm proud of you, man. I'm
Lord.
glad I could be the. I'm glad I could be the one to bring you over, man.
Well, hold on. You didn't bring me over. It's just week 2. I mean, my top 5 list on First Take every Tuesday. I mean, it's fluid. It's going to move. This week they deserve to be top 5. I'm not saying that's going to be the case next week.
Oh no, it's gonna be the case. I'm just letting you know. I've been giving you the rundown for a couple of months now that they're gonna win the Super Bowl. I'm just glad that you started to see the light.
That is funny.
I'm just glad you started to see the light.
That is funny. Let me tell you something, man. Listen, I'm not gonna bet you or anything like that. But even though I'm going that route anyway, if the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I might officially decide to go bald. That's how sure I am that they go, because I want to hold on to my hair for as long as I possibly can. Even if it ends up making me look like George Jefferson, I want to hold on to it. But I am thoroughly convinced there ain't no way in hell the Bengals winning some Super Bowl.
No, they winning the Super Bowl. But see, because I was going to call you the other day, I couldn't get through. You lucky, man, because I see Friday show. I know it was about Triple G and Canelo, but you ain't give us no airplay about our game.
I ain't gonna lie to you. And let me tell you something. I'm tempted not to give you no airplay now. I'm tempted to hang up on you now for talking about them. I mean, listen, the Bengals, could you win a playoff game? That's all I ask. We
about to win a playoff game.
No.
And that's why I say that. You know what? I want to up the ante. See, I want to make sure nationally, you know, I hear you, you know, over 300 airways and all that. I want to say this. If the Bengals win.
Where'd you go, Phil? Phil, we lost your signal. I apologize. I swear to you, I did not cut you off. We lost your signal. Your signal dropped. I apologize, but you know you can call back anytime, my brother. I got love for you. Let's go to Phil. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Phil?
Hey, Stephen A. This is Bill from Wisconsin.
Okay.
I've been listening to you for a long time. I've always been a fan. Here's my two things. Do you believe that Dak Prescott has now regressed to the mean? He started 11-1.
Hold on. Regress to the what? Regress to the what?
Regress to the mean.
Okay.
Do you believe he's just now an average quarterback?
He's looked average. And also, he looked average in the 6 games without Ezekiel Elliott last year. And he looked average opening game against the Carolina Panthers. Even though they won the game against the Giants, he looked relatively average then, too. He only threw for 160 yards.
That's right. And my next comment is this much. Do you also believe that the Buccaneers should, for the next season, draft a quarterback, even though Fitzpatrick is not the future, because we know how streaky he is? But do you believe that with Jameis Winston, that as you see,
well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. How many quarterbacks are there going to be? And the way Tampa is playing, they're not going to be some lottery team per se, or a team with a high first round draft pick. So what kind of quarterback are you talking about drafting?
That's very true.
All right. I got to run, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Lonnie. It's Stephen A. What's going on, man? How you doing? Hey, by the way, Lonnie, you know where I get that from, right? Reverend Lonnie Love. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
From the show Martin by David Allen Greer.
Yeah, but if you go back to Lonnie Dottie, put the ribbon in every woman's body. That's even better.
Watch him out. He
don't bother nobody.
These are Walt Disney Airways, Lonnie. These are Walt Disney Airways. Be careful, bro.
Right.
Go ahead, bro.
Right.
Go ahead, man.
But I want to get to my Steelers, man. I'm a diehard Steelers fan from back in Steel Curtain days. You know, I'm really pissed off about the defense.
It's a disgrace.
I had a homeboy that name was Ray Seals that I went to school with.
Yeah.
And we both played in high school together.
Okay. It's awful. Listen, the Steelers secondary, man, is just atrocious. They can't stop anybody. And Tuitt and you know, Cameron, these guys are the only guys that can get at the passer. There's nothing impressive about the Steelers defense, man. Not to me. I'm not going to lie to you.
They need to fire the defensive coordinator and get the defensive coordinator that was from that got fired from Oakland. The coach that got fired from Oakland.
Why would you bring anybody from Oakland with the way their defenses looked in recent memory?
But this dude is a top defensive player. He's the top defensive coordinator.
I'm not sure about that.
He the one who was coaching when Peyton Manning was at Denver. and he had that defense rocking. I forget his name.
Okay.
But he got fired from it. He just can't be a head coach.
Well,
he's a great defensive coach.
Well, listen, you got Keith Butler right now, but you're right. I'm not sold on him. I'm certainly not sold on what I'm seeing from him. You got me there. I'm not enamored with it. And I look at the Steelers secondary right now, man. It's just an embarrassment. It really, really is. And I've just lost all faith in their defense. And it's been a long time coming. I have felt that way. I mean, you got Cameron Haywood. He's no joke. Stephon Tuitt. He's no joke. I like TJ Watt and what I've seen him do, at least in game 1 against Cleveland. In game 2, he had 1 tackle. Game 2, he had 1 tackle. So we ain't going to accuse him of being his brother, okay? And then when I look at the Steelers secondary, man, it's like really Sean Davis, Mike Hilton, Morgan Burnett, Artie Burns. I mean, you don't even have Joe Hayden there. I'm just disgusted. I'm not going to lie to you.
What I would have got Mac. I would have grabbed Mac from instead of letting Chicago get Mac.
They don't have the money. They don't have the money to get him, man.
Sometimes you got to go on luxury tax. You have to go on luxury. You gotta pay the running back. That's why Brown is acting the way he acting right now, because Le'Veon opened up everything for them. You know what I'm saying? So you have to pay your running back first, and you Mac. I don't care where you get the money from. You get the money.
I got you. You just cursed over the airways. I can't let you do that. And by the way, the defensive coordinator for the Raiders is Ken Norton. Or he was Ken Norton. And John Pagano was there as well. They're both gone now. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. By the way, I'm sorry. I apologize. I mean, when you look at the Oakland Raiders, this is what I'm trying to say to you. You're talking about their new defensive coordinator, which is Paul Gunther. He's replacing Norton and Pagano. Let's see what he does. Losing Khalil Mack, the defense didn't look bad this past weekend against Denver. I can tell you that much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Actually, let me go to another phone call. Let me go to Reg. Reggie, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Reg.
Hey, Stephen A.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. I just want to say I love your show. I watch you every day on First Take.
Thank you.
I'm glad you got your radio show where I can see you and holler at you. I'm an avid Raiders fan.
All right.
I love the Oakland Raiders. And is it me or can no one else see? I thought when we drafted Derek Carr, he was that guy. But the more and more I see him play, he doesn't look like that guy that's going to take us to where we.
Well, I will say this to you. His first game was horrific. His second game, he completed 29 at 32 passes. We can't knock it. On a season in 2 games, even though they're 0-2, he's completing 80% of his passes, and he's thrown for nearly 600 yards. And he's got 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions, and that's true. Okay, and the bottom line, they're 0-2. I don't know whether he's that guy or not either, but the season before last, he did a really, really good job. Last season, not so great. This year, look, they got a lot of changes that have taken place. They paid him $125 million. They couldn't afford to play Khalil Mack. I personally think they should have paid him, but they swear they couldn't afford him, but they could afford to give John Gruden $100 million. We shall see. But it is a challenge, no question about that.
The money instead of giving the money to Carr. Carr ain't done nothing yet for the money. At least Khalil Mack done some things to earn the money. Carr haven't done anything yet. Win something and then get some money. They're giving away all this free money to quarterbacks who not doing nothing.
Yeah, I got you. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. But keep in mind that a couple of seasons ago, Carr had the Raiders in the playoffs. He just got hurt before their first playoff game against Houston. So let's keep that in mind. Let's remember that. That's A. And B, last year he was coming off that injury, never fully recovered, and just didn't look good. Okay? And number 3, you're going to pay quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford has never won a playoff game in 10 years. He's making $27 million a year. Kirk Cousins hasn't won a playoff game in all his years as a starter with the Redskins. He's making $28 million a year. Jimmy Garoppolo started just 7 games before this season. He was undefeated in those 7 games, 2 with New England and 5 with San Francisco. But he started 7 games in his career, got $137.5 million. So it's really hard to sit up there and say that Derek Carr didn't deserve his money at $25 million a year when you consider the money other quarterbacks are getting paid. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Do you have frequent heartburn, like the kind where you have antacid stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief, of course. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show. By the way, you can catch me on Twitter at Stephen A. Smith, on Instagram at Stephen A. Smith, on Facebook at Stephen A. Smith, or you can catch me right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, and simulcast over the national television airways of ESPN News. Your calls to close out the show in a minute.
Ow. Yep, you guessed it. I'm a speed bump, so I've got one job. I slow you down. So imagine how I feel about Geico, who does way more. Like, not only could they save you money on car insurance, but they've been around for over 75 years, giving people fast and friendly claim service. Ow. Plus, they got a nifty mobile app that gives you 24/7 access. Ow. Just doing my job, buddy.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Back to the phones we go before we get on out of here for the afternoon, or the morning rather. Let's go to Johnny. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen A.? How you doing this evening, man?
Talk to me, man. I'm good. How are you?
Hey, listen, man. What's going on with Russ, man? My dog wasn't playing good last night, man.
Have you seen that? The man got sacked 6 times. He's getting popped upside the head every chance you turn around. I mean, come on, man.
Hey, man, I love Russ, man. I'm a big Seahawks fan, but I'm a diehard Bucks fan, man. Go Tampa. I just don't understand what's going on with him. Well, listen, I hope he get it together.
They never protected him, man. Aren't you paying attention?
Yeah,
you got to deal with that nonsense, man.
I agree, man.
All right, then. That's what the problem is. That's all you need to know. They ain't been the same since they traded Max Unger.
I agree, man. I agree, man. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for picking up the phone.
All right, no problem, man. Call anytime. Let's go to PJ. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm great. Talk to me.
I just wanted to thank ESPN and everybody this week for thinking about us. We've had a tough week here in North Carolina.
You know what? You know what? Let me say this, sir. I sincerely hope that you and your loved ones and neighbors and everybody else are okay. Obviously, you all were in our thoughts and prayers because we knew that hurricane was coming, and I sincerely hope that minimal damage was done and that you're all right.
Yes, sir. And I have one question for you. It's an NBA.
Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts? I know we've struggled the last few seasons. I'm a diehard Hornet guy, so we've been rebuilding the stage, and then we've been kind of inconsistent. So what do you think? Do you think we're in the rebuilding stage, or where do you think we're at?
I think you're in the rebuilding stage, and I think you're on the verge of losing Kemba Walker. That's what I think. You finished 36-46 over the last 2 years. 36-46. And obviously you've now decided to change coaches, which is not a bad thing. I just think it's one of those situations, man, where right now, as you look at them, Kemba Walker is your team. Nicholas Batum hasn't checked out well. Dwight Howard is gone. He's now in the nation's capital. Michael Kidd, Gilchrist, and Marvin Williams and those guys. These are not awful players, but you need a star other than a 5'10" guard. That's what you need. And somehow, some way, you're going to have to get it. Charlotte's a wonderful city. And I think that a lot of guys, if they go there, they would love to play there. But in the end, you need help. You don't have it. All you got is Kemba Walker, and I don't know he's going to be there. So that's it. That's it, PJ.
Yes, sir. But I appreciate your call, man, and thank you all this week for praying for us. That's all we need.
Not a problem, buddy. Take care of yourself. My best to you and your loved ones and everybody in that North Carolina area. Get ready to sign off, but I'll be back in 22 hours, about to get on out of here. Thank y'all for joining me for the show today. This is Stephen A. Smith, ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Signing off until 22 hours from now. Peace and love.
Guys, let's be real. When you look good, you feel good. At the JCPenney wardrobe sale, you can get 50% off select men's suits, separate sport coats, dress pants, and accessories. Plus, select dress shirts, buy one, get one free. Raise your game with Collection by Michael Strahan. All the right looks to take your